when you enter into a sale agreement and you pay the down payment of a deposit of 10%, if you don't complete the payment, you lose that money. That money cannot be refunded to you. Welcome to Court Helicopter Explainer, where we are dealing with the questions of the deposit for sale of land. When you buy land, you enter into a sale agreement. In that sale agreement, normally, which is drafted by advocates, they say that you are going to pay 10% upon execution of that sale agreement. What does that mean? It means that immediately you sign as a buyer and the seller signs, that is the purchaser signs and the seller signs, you are supposed to give 10% of the sale price. So if we are talking about you are buying land of 10 million shillings, you'll be required to pay a 10%, that's 1 million Kenya shillings, before immediately the sale agreement is done. That has no problem. The biggest problem is that you are supposed to pay the balance before 90 days are over, what is called the completion time. Normally, within the sale agreement, you'll find that there is what is called that they will invoke the Law Society sale agreements. The Law Society document, which is incorporated in your sale agreement, many of you don't know what that conditions are. The conditions of sale by the Law Society of Kenya provides that in the absence of specified timelines, this LSK, the Law Society of Kenya sale, will apply. So the condition is that you must pay within 90 days. Now, you are unable to pay within 90 days. The job you are working, you have been sacked or you have been retrenched. You have been sick, you don't have the money. Your children got sick, you diverted the money to elsewhere. You do not pay within the timelines specified. Then you take 1 year, 2 years, or 6 months, then you have the money. You go back to the seller, you find he has already sold the land to another party. Then you rush to court saying that no, this was my land, I have a sale agreement. What is the position of the law? The position of the law is that you must pay within the 90 days specified, or within the days the sale agreement says. If the sale agreement says 120 days, if the sale agreement says 6 days, if the sale agreement says 20 days, you will have to pay. Failure to pay that sale agreement, you cannot start saying or going to court and saying, Corona came, I did not have money. You cannot start going to court and saying, my children were supposed to go to school, I didn't have that money. Any explanation outside the sale agreement is a waste of your time. The purchaser will take your 10%. It will not be refundable. That is the law. You lose the 10% because you never paid the balance within the timelines. So, many people will come to law firms arguing that I had paid 10%. Sometimes the 10% is 5 million. Sometimes the 10% is 10 million. Sometimes 10% is 500,000. If you do not pay within the timelines, you lose that money. So what is Wakili Omari telling you? The day you enter into a sale agreement, make sure you have enough resources to clear the balance within the timeline. Some sale agreements say upon the consent by the Land Control Board. The law says once the consent by the Land Control Board has been issued, because the purchaser the seller must go to the Land Control Board if it's a freehold land to get the consents for him to sell, subdivide and sell. Once those are issued, the law is within 90 days, you have got to clear the balance. People in the diaspora, you entered into a sale agreement to buy land with somebody. You went and you didn't get the job that you anticipated. You have money after 4 or 5 months or 4 or 5 years. You come back, you have no land. The 10% that you paid, the seller will go with that. You cannot revert, you cannot challenge. This was the question that was taken before the Court of Appeal where Justice Murgur, Justice Laibuta, Justice Ngenye, all of them, Court of Appeal, sitting in Malindi, that is Civil Appeal number E013 of 2022. Magdavile Asami Macho, Gregolis Appellant, and Musa and the others. What did the judges say? The judges put it very clearly that they quoted in paragraph 47 the case of Sister Wambugu versus Kamau Njuguna, 1983. They said contracts for sale of land commonly give the vendor the right to rescind the sale if the purchaser does not pay on the appointed day. The law is that this right can only be exercised where time is of essence, or if it is not after a party who is in default has given reasonable notice to the defaulting party, making time of essence. So what does the Court of Appeal say? If you fail to pay, the purchaser will give you required notices, and the notices will tell you time is of essence. When you see a notice saying time is of essence, which means if you don't comply with the timelines that you people agreed, the purchaser will run away from that contract, he will sell that land to another person, you will be making a lot of noise. What does the court again say? In page 22, the general principles would appear to be that where a buyer had paid but is unable to complete a contract, the seller, upon rescinding, it may sue for damages but must return any money that may have been paid. The general principle, however, must yield to the intention of the parties. If the payment was part payment on default and reasons, the seller must return the money. So the question is, can the seller pursue you if you have not paid for damages? Where will the damages arise? You entered into a sale agreement and the seller could not sell to any other person. Because the law is, once you have entered into a sale agreement, that land cannot be sold to another person. Good people, Chinese come with billions of money. The French president has come. He is looking for land. He cannot sell that land. He has money 10 times. He can't buy that land. The seller will refund your 10% and sue you for damages. What are the lessons from this Court of Appeal decision? When you enter into a sale agreement and you pay the down payment of a deposit of 10%, if you don't complete the payment, you lose that money. That money cannot be refunded to you. Wakili Danstan Omari bringing to you the shock buster, how that is. Stop arguing that the seller sold land to another person. If you did not pay within the sale agreement, the seller has a right to sell that land to another person. Keep watching as we bring to you lessons of law.